All right, so we are towards the middle, few lines above the middle of page Chav Gimel. The line starts with the word commission is boy liyil. Rosh Hashanah. We're saying that Moshe's Haksiva, even though, as we explained, they are totally united and dependent on the cloth upon which they are written. And in that respect, they are actually one thing with the cloth. They are only revealing what the cloth bears. But nevertheless, it is not Kmehu Etzem Mamush. And he explained in parentheses the principle of Gili Ho Etzem or Gili Min Ho Etzem. Gili Ho Etzem, give the moshel of the sun ray, sunlight, and Seichel coming from Keich HaMaskil. We discussed this yesterday. So Gili Min Ho Etzem is a Gili with its own format, with its own parameters, but it is something which is illuminated and coming from an etzem. In our terminology, this is like a seichel. Like we say in one-on-one, it has a presence of two. It has its own presence. But this presence has an element that is illuminated by the Koyach HaMaskil. But it has its own presence. That's meant Gili Min Ho Etzem. And it has its own presence, as we point out all the time, to the extent that it is possible even to ignore that which comes from the Etzem and just attend to the presence itself, to the Metzias. But then it's not Seichel. And then there is the Oyer V'Ziv HaShemesh, where the whole Inyan of the Oyer V'Ziv HaShemesh, as we explained yesterday, it is not the Oyer V'Ziv that is reflected from objects, that has a presence of its own. We're talking about the principle of light per se, like the Oyer Shenivra B'Em Rishon. Huh? Shine. We explained throughout a long time that we're dealing with, we're talking about this Inyan, that light, the essence of light is not merely to be able to see objects. It transforms the entire Metzias of the world and acquires a completely different reality. And that is because of the presence of the Etzem itself. Okay, so now we continue after the parentheses. few lines above the middle of the page of Gimel. The line starts with Mishin is boy yield da omer babo. And since that it is not k'moy ho'etzem mamush, literally as real and as fundamental as the etzem itself, therefore it becomes k'moy dover ha'neisef alo etzem. It's like something that is really added onto the etzem, even though it unites with the etzem and it depends on the etzem, but it still has the element like a dover ha'neisef.
You there?
Okay. I'm sorry, I forgot. I don't have my phone.
All right, 1 second. Should I just keep him on speaker or call the conference?
Who is it?
Shlomo.
I think you should call the conference because maybe
Shlomo, I'm gonna call into the conference right now on this phone, okay? Thank you.
I gave him my phone. He promised to get it back for me today. That sound was like a burning. It burned out.
Okay. Yeah, when you turned down the volume, it didn't affect that noise.
No, nothing. It was an internal.
Welcome to the conference room. Please. At the tone, please thank you. You are now entering the conference room. To exit the conference room, press ***. For help, press *9. You are participant number 3.
All right, sorry. We are.
David Chaim's calling.
What?
It's David Chaim. David. We just called into the conference room now.
And hold it.
I think he hung up, so it went to. Oh, okay, good. Thanks.
Yeah, so we're not just above the middle of the page, a few lines above. Chav Gimel. The line begins, Commission is boy liyildi b'ramask omer babo. So we explained that the oisis aksiva, they are the same mahus as the etzem. As we said, that this is like the moshel for the kelim that seems. Nevertheless, it's not k'mei ho'etzem mamush. Therefore, harei k'mei dover ha'neisav alo etzem. That itself gives it the presence as a dover ha'neisav, as something that is added to the etzem. V'yiker, okay, now in the brief parenthesis, it can become even more emphatic. Yiker ha'dover ha'neisav. And the principle of the Indian that this is a dover ha'neisav, something that is added to the meisav, hu ha'dover ha'mastir. It is that which conceals and hides the etzem. And therefore, as a result, gam hagili hu kadover haneisav. Okay, there is a very fine subtlety in here that explains. There is two aspects in the oisis aksav that are written, oisis that are written on the parchment. Initially, the writing is concealing, is hiding the we said the pshitus of the parchment. But then, as a result of hiding the pshitus of the parchment, we have a gila, revelation, coming from the parchment in the form of these oisios, in the form of these letters. This in that it is megala, these letters, this is from the parchment. This is what permits the oisios to stay there. Parchment permits the oasis to be there, and it is producing them. However, being that the manner in which we are revealing these oasis is through Dover HaMastir, through concealing and covering up the parchment. Therefore, the Gilui that comes is not a direct Gilui from the Etzem. You had to, so to speak, camouflage the Etzem. You had to conceal the essential element of the Etzem. Therefore, the Gilui, the expression, the message that the Etzem gives is also Dover HaNesav. It's like something, an add-on to the Etzem, because it does not come from the Etzem directly as the Etzem is unto itself. It comes from the Etzem by making changes unto the Etzem, which is Dover HaMastir, by concealing it. And therefore, the Gilui is also Dover Nesav al Ha'etzem. Something that is an add-on to the Etzem. Now, an add-on lacks the fundamental truth, the fundamental reality of the Etzem. So this is what we are going back and forth. Notice that in Oises Aksiva it is not that simple. That this is something which is just put on the parchment, and they're two separate entities. The reason that you can put it on the parchment is because the parchment provides for it. And what you are actually observing, what you're actually looking at, is that provisionary element of the parchment. Therefore, it is the parchment that you're looking at, rather than to the add-on. The add-on is only to reveal from the parchment that aspect, that element, that possibility. But nevertheless, there is, on the other hand, since that the only way you can reveal from the parchment is by concealing the pshitas of the parchment. Therefore, this is not something that's coming directly from the parchment. Therefore, it is like something, and this is not something that is there, b'pshitus, in the parchment. It is something that is like an additional element for the parchment, even though in fact it is not an additional element. So, k'may Dover HaNesav, as if it were Dover HaNesav. And he says the most important principle to understanding this is the reason it is a Dover HaNesav is not because the ink is put on the parchment. The reason it is Dover HaNesav is because its revelation comes by the process of concealing the parchment, concealment element, which means it's not a direct expression of the coming straight from the parchment.
This concealment on one hand and the revelation on the other hand are simultaneous, or is there like one after the other?
It's like one after the other. Yeah.
So yesterday you gave us example Gilumin Ayatzim based on Seichel and Midas, and you said that the Seichel is indeed Gilumin Ayatzim. Now, when we have a Gilumin Ayatzim, is that always going to be like Oisias Aksiva? Is going to be, is this Gilumin Ayatzim is synonymous with what we are now delving in this principle that is going to be something Dovar Anoisav?
No, Gilumin Ha'etzem means it's like a Dover Anoisav, yeah.
Oh. Oh.
The Seichel, there's two levels of Seichel. The Rebbe talks about over here the Seichel that's coming from the Koyach HaMaskil. The Koyach HaMaskil itself is like Gilumin Ha'etzem itself. That's a separate thing. But
Right.
from the Koyach HaMaskil, it's like Gilumin Ha'etzem.
Right. And so too, as we learned before yesterday, an example of Atzilus, the spheres of Atzilus are like is a Gilumin Ha'etzem.
The Kelim that's here.
Kelim.
So there's different terminology at the top of the page, second line, when he's talking about the Oisias Aksuvim. He says the Imkain Ein Gilu Mina Adam my Oisias Aksuvim. So there it means something else, right? In other words, he's not talking about, when he says Gilu Mina Etzim on the second line, top of page Chav Gimel, he's talking about really like the Etzim itself. It's like the Torah Atzmis. And now when we're talking about Gilu Mina Etzim, we mean Min HaEtzim but not Kavai HaEtzim.
Right.
So is that, I mean, it was a little confusing yesterday when we were going over it. Is that
yeah,
true?
over there, the expression means something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's in different context. It is not the etzem that is gathered. That's what any gilumin etzem. Okay. Ach, beyeshe zachakiko. Then, taking the other part of this motion, oishe zachakiko, aces of engraving that are engraved on the stone. She'ein dovar hamastir, when there isn't anything that is actually concealing the base, the choimer. Harei hu gilui hu etzem. There, the oisius is a gilui of the etzem. She'ein hagilui dovar neisef alo etzem. Where the gilui is not an add-on to the etzem, but it is the etzem itself that is expressing that gilui. V'ze'inyan b'tzalmeinu. This is the principle of b'tzalmeinu. So also Adam is b'tzalmeinu kidmuseinu. What is b'tzalmeinu? B'tzalmeinu means that there is an element of the etzem in this neshama, in this Adam. Even though it's a gilui, but the gilui is of the etzem itself. Okay, noidam, and as you know, the sheiresh haneshama hu mibchines oisei zachakiko. That the neshama is rooted in the bechina, in the lakus, in a manner like oisei zachakiko. It is not something that is produced externally as a separate entity, but it is oisei zachakiko. It is from in and of itself. And as we say, neshama shenasato bi tohoiro hi. And the neshama is Tehoira. What does Tehoira mean? Shehu inyan tehiru ilah. Tehoira is the inyan of tehiru ilah. What is Tehoira? Just briefly, this is Tehoira means that there is nothing else but Elokus. When you say about Oises Haksiva, it is revealing what is in the Etzem, but there is something else there. There is that which conceals the Etzem. Tehoira means that it is the very same thing. It is as pure as the source itself. Nothing interferes with its relationship to the source. Shehu inyan tehiru ilah. That refers to the tehiru ilah. What is tehiru ilah? Tehiru ilah means the supreme purity. As it says, the goliv gelifu b'tehiru ilah. This is a reference to what is mentioned, what it says in I think it's in the Zohar originally, that Bereish Hurmonosa de Malko, that in the beginning, Hurmonosa, in the very starting of the Rotzin, Hurmonosa means the will of the Melech, is Goliv Gelifu B'Thiru Ilah. He had scratched, Golifu, God means made a scratch. He made a chiko, B'Thiru Ilah, in the Thiru Ilah, in the supreme Tehiru, which is Bechinas Oises HaHakiko, which is describing the Oises HaHakiko, that even though there is a Goliv Gelifu, there is a Gelifu, there is a scratch, which is not the initial purity as it is, but it is Oises HaHakiko, it is from itself. There's nothing concealing the Tehiru Ilah. That is the Bechina of Betzalmeinu. Bechinas Tzura Atzmis. Which Betzalmeinu means a Tzura, but the Tzura is Atzmis, which is of itself, of the Etzem itself. Atzmis means the Etzem itself is mitztayer in this tzura. Okay. V'yesh loimer b'oimek yoser. Here there is even a deeper element that can be said over here. But what is inyan tzura atzmis? That tzura atzmis is even deeper than inyan v'oises hakiko. Shezehu ma sheho etzem mitztayer bozeh. That tzura atzmis is that the etzem is mitztayer. The etzem assumes that tzura, meaning to say that the etzem is presenting itself, his whole etzem in this tzura. This is not like the Oises HaHakiko. Oises HaHakiko shezeho rag gilui ho'etzem v'lei ho'etzem mamash. Oises HaHakiko is only gilui ho'etzem. It's an expression from the Etzem, but not the Etzem itself. Sha'arei ho'oisiyos einom tzuras ha'etzem shel hadov. Since that the oisiyos, this is a tzura, but this is not what the Etzem looks like. V'hana ha'mateches eho'even toiv. The metal that they form in a certain form, on the ebon or the precious stone that you engrave the oasis upon. This is not that the whole etzem, the whole matches and the whole stone has that surah. Kiyim shezehu tziyur beho etzem. It's a tziyur upon the etzem, in the etzem. The hainu gilu mimenu. A gili from the etzem that you can show what can be coming from the etzem. Rak exception hagili hu min ho etzem, but that the except that it is from the etzem itself. Leik medover neisem alo etzem. You know, but the etzem itself is the gilui there, not like something noisav and added upon the etzem like in the oasis aksiva, where the etzem really the purity etzem is completely concealed. Otherwise, you won't have the gilui. Here you have the gilui without concealing the etzem. But nevertheless, this is only a gilui from the etzem. It does not really describe the etzem. In simple terms, you can write all kinds of letters on this etzem. Each one letter that you write is another way of megala the etzem. So which means that the etzem can assume many of these truths. It's not the tzir of the etzem does not say what the etzem is.
Or is it true to say that for that same matter you could make out of the stone a chair and sit on it, right?
When you make out of the stone something that is not what the stone is meant for, the stone provides for, then it is not a gilui min haetzem.
Why are we saying it does not provide for? We said that the chair is a human concept, is a real thing in the world. So you make it out of the solid material, which is stone or a piece of wood for that reason, and then it is exactly the same like an oasis axiom. It doesn't make it. It's not any worse than that.
It does not in any way give you the message what an eventual is. This is like when the Mishnah says nezem zohar be'av chazir. You make a nezem zohar and put it on the nose of a pig. It's not a nezem zohar. It doesn't speak for what the significance of a nezem zohar is.
Okay, so what if you shape this stone and put it in the crown of the king?
Yeah,
So
that's something else.
Okay, so but it doesn't matter. Point, it's not.
No, it doesn't
axiom.
matter.
No, I'm saying it's not oasis axiom, but it's still. I'm saying you see here clearly how oasis axiom they are not mitzayer what the etzem is, because etzem could be this etzem of this eventoif could be used for various different things, expressing
What's a hakika?
Hakika, sorry. Hakika, yeah.
But it is mitayar. This is not. There's a subtlety over here because these oases belong on this aventoif. They don't belong on a stone on a plain stone. Like I said, if you take the stone and make a chair out of it, you are losing the whole thing.
In the mashal, the oasis that are chakuka in the stone, we're assuming that that is really what the stone is meant for. In other words, in the mashal, it doesn't make so much sense because stone letters, like what's the connection between letters and stone? It's
Why do you put the letters on this precious stone? Why do you make a ring from an expensive stone?
to show off the stone.
to show off the stone and to show off of the significance of these letters, that they belong on this special stone. Yes, there is a significance.
I mean, do we? I don't know that this idea of making letters on a special stone. This is not. I'm not familiar with this. I mean,
Right, you're not familiar with this because we hardly have it, but the signet ring of a king used to be his signet. That was on a special stone.
And it's such a value that it's such a value that it should be on a special stone.
Right.
I'm just trying
To represent the king. Well, we have to interrupt. Sorry.
It's so confusing.
No kidding.
No, because look, I mean, when we presented at the beginning, we were saying that the Hoimer Poshut gives out. She has a pshitus in it, which gives out the various whatever you want to make out of it. So even now, when you're speaking about the precious stone, still you could make the signet of the ring, and you could just use it as a jewel in a king's crown, or you could use it for many things.
Or a chair.
No, okay, I understand, I got it. No, but I mean, it's just because I was confused. You cleared it, so no,
Yeah.
not a chair.
No.
But now we're talking about something which is, we're saying, which is Tzura Atzmis, which actually Etzem is Mitzuyer in it, which is
That's
higher
a new
than
thing.
that.
That's a new thing.
Exactly, I understand. So that you would say that this actually does not give any room for any other expression rather than that. Is that true? That's exactly what
That's a new thing.
okay, good, I understand. That's clear.